So let's start with outcomes of democracy, class 10th. Having a look at the different advantages of democracy. Democracy promotes equality among citizens. It enhances the dignity of individual, improves the quality of decision making, and provides a method to resolve conflicts and allows a room to correct mistakes in the form of ruling party and opposition party, right? So while thinking about the outcomes of democracy, we must first recognize that democracy is just a form of government. It can only create conditions for achieving something, while we as people have to make use of these conditions as opportunities. Coming to accountable, responsive, and a legitimate government. So, democracy should provide two things. Firstly, the right to choose their rulers, and people will have control over their rulers. How they'll have control? If they don't like a leader, they can change them in the next elections by not voting that particular party, right? So, whenever possible and necessary, citizens should be able to participate in decision making that affects them all. Whenever possible and necessary, citizens should be able to participate in the decision making that affects them all. This is the same point. Okay, so a government should be accountable and legitimate. So if a citizen wants to know whether a decision was taken through the correct procedures, he and she can find it out. Right? So this is known as transparency. Legitimate in a government, in a democracy, governments are elected through free hand fair elections, right? The elections are free and fair. Laws are made following the proper procedures after much discussion with the elected representatives. If people feel that the law is against the constitution, they can approach the independent judiciary. As we know, we have three organs of government which have equal power: executive, legislature, and judiciary, and each of the organ can keep a check on each other, whereas judiciary has the power to fight against any of the organs on the behalf of the people. Now coming to economic growth and development. If you consider all the democracies and dictatorships for the 50 years between 1950 and 2000, dictatorships have slightly higher rate of economic growth. But this alone cannot be the reason to reject democracy. The difference in the rates of economic development between the less developed countries with dictatorship and democracies is negligible. Now coming to reduction of inequality and poverty. So we know that poverty is a big major problem in many of the countries. Democracies are based on political equality, right? So all individuals have equal right in electing representatives, right? So we know that there is one value for one vote. In actual life, democracies do not appear to be very successful in reducing economic inequalities, right? So we know that many are rich and many are poor, and the resources are not divided equally among the rich and poor as they should have been divided. Most of the resources are with the richest and the poor are starving. So a small number of ultra rich enjoy a high disproportionate share of wealth and incomes. This is what we discussed. So accommodation of social diversity. So what is social diversity? Having different religions, having different races, and all living together are known as social diversity. So accommodation in a social diversity. So how each and every race or each and every part of the community or society, they accommodate with each other. So no society can fully and permanently resolve conflict between different groups, right? So there are some small or daily conflicts every day in societies. Ability to handle social differences, divisions, and conflicts is thus a definite plus point of democratic regimes. So in democracy, obviously, social differences, divisions, and conflicts can be handled, right? It is also necessary that rule by majority does not become rule by majority community in the terms of religion or race or linguistic groups. So this point means that if a law is made and the majority supports it, it should not be like the majority community supports it. It should be like all the communities come together and majority of that group will support a law or any rule made by the government. Democracy remains democracy only as long as every citizen has a chance of being in majority at some point of time. So this is a very important point. Coming to dignity and freedom of citizens. So dignity means respect, right? Respect and the rights they receive from a democracy or from a constitution. So democracy stands much superior to any other form of government in promoting dignity and freedom of the individuals. Democracy in India has strengthened the claims of disadvantaged and discriminated castes for equal status and equal opportunities. As we know, we have reserved constituencies everywhere in every field of our country. There are instances still of caste-based inequalities and acrocides, but these lack the moral and legal foundations. Perhaps it is the recognition that makes ordinary citizens value their democratic rights. So the passion for respect and freedom are the basis of democracy. As people get some benefits of democracy, they ask for more and want to make democracy even better. So by this we can understand that they get involved in democracy and want to make it better. So this is the success of democracy. The fact that people are complaining is itself a testimony to the success of democracy. Why? Because it shows that the people have developed awareness about it and the ability to expect and to look critically at the power holds the high and the mighty. Right? So we can look critically and expect better results from those who hold power and who are in the high and mighty positions. Right? So a public expression of dissatisfaction with democracy shows the success of democratic project. Okay, and it transforms people from the status of a subject into a citizen. So the public expressions, what we express, our dissatisfaction with the democracy and our expectations to get more better, these all things make us from a simple person to a citizen of a country. Most individuals today believe that their vote makes a difference to the way the government is run and to their own self-interest. That is why when we ask people about the way democracy functions, they will always come up with more expectations and many complaints. Right? So we are done with the chapter. Thank you.